Call the honourable member for Ryan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question's to the Acting Prime Minister. Will the Acting Prime Minister please update the House on what the government is doing to support international efforts to combat the threat posed by foreign fighters?
I call the Honourable the Acting Prime Minister.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for her question. The government certainly shares serious concerns that the international community has about the advances of the ISIL death cult that have been made particularly in eastern Syria and northern Iraq. Overnight, the Prime Minister has addressed a special session of the United Nations Security Council chaired by President Obama to address the issues of foreign terrorist fighters. The Prime Minister has assured the Australian people and the audience at the Security Council that this government will be vigilant. We'll be vigilant at home, we'll be vigilant abroad, and we will do whatever we can to ensure that our country remains safe. It's the highest priority of this government and should indeed be the highest priority of any self-respecting government. But as the Prime Minister noted in his address, the conflict in Iraq and Syria may seem to be distant, but it is reaching out also to us. And last week, an Australian operative in Syria instructed his local network to conduct demonstration killings. And that, of course, prompted a rapid response from Australian authorities. And this week, an Australian terror suspect has savagely attacked two policemen, leaving an Australian federal policeman seriously wounded. I'm happy to report to the House, Madam Speaker, that the Australian federal policeman is now in a stable condition, and it's our understanding that the Victorian police officer who received stab wounds will be able to leave the hospital later today. But there are 60 Australians already fighting with ISIL and another 100 or more providing support from within Australia. And 60 passports have been suspended to prevent more Australians from joining in these groups in the Middle East. On September the 14th, the Prime Minister announced that Australia would deploy ADF assets and personnel to an international coalition efforts to disrupt and degrade ISIL. We will be prepared to be involved in what needs to happen. Australia will not fight alone, but we will be prudent and proportionate in our contribution and into an international effort that now involves around 40 nations. The Prime Minister has met a number of world leaders at the United Nations Security Council, and they've been able to exchange views on how the world will be able to best cooperate to meet this new threat to our freedom and our way of life.
I call the